Hello and welcome to Where My Prose At with Kitten Features and Ken. And today we are discussing...
Hello everybody, you are listening, watching and enjoying Where My Prose At Movie Edition here on YouTube versus the World Video channel. Thank you so much for tuning in today, we very much appreciate it.
Hello. And as you guys may be aware, this is Brutus. He is
Special guest.
Pardon?
Special guest.
Special guest. He is our 5 or 6 year old rescue staffy. He is wonderful and sweet and kind and gentle. If you have an opportunity to ever have a rescue dog or a rescue staffy in your life, jump at it. Also, he is the Easter Bunny. So we're going to get right into it today. You may have already seen our films, our shows on the novel form of the Stepford Wives, as well as the original film of the Stepford Wives.
Today we are reviewing the modern version, or the most recent version of Stepford Wives.
Starring Matthew Broderick and Nicole Kidman.
So, what was your initial thoughts on this newest version of the film?
You know, I have a kind of a soft spot for this film. I don't know if you guys ever did this, but growing up, when DVDs were like the thing, I had it was one of my most prized possessions, and I actually gave it to my little sister when she went off to uni, because I was like, here, this is a great way to make friends. There's nothing better than having like a movie night with like new friends and stuff. So I used to have this red big boy that you would unzip, and it was just pages and pages and pages of DVDs, and I organized them by all my favorites, and this was probably about like the second page in. I used to love this movie and after recently watching it, I'm like, oh you sweet summer child, oh goodbye. I know, it wasn't that bad, was it?
He's immediately removing his ears.
I
don't want this anymore.
But yeah, so rewatching it as an adult and a bit more jaded, yeah, it's definitely got some positives, but overall, not very good. It's
a pretty bad film, especially after seeing the first film and reading the book.
Yeah,
the book is definitely top tier. This film is third tier. It was unnecessary. The first film did what it needed to do. It filled. I don't feel like a modern remake was necessary in the first place.
Oh, I think a modern remake of Stepford Wives would be absolutely so interesting to watch.
I don't think the story changes, though. You know what I mean? I don't think the
story doesn't change, but the kind of like view of women, though, as through the decades, like how would we do Stepford Wives today? Like, I think that's a really cool concept that we could still explore. This movie, however, just did not explore that. It was, for me, it was very cheap. It was very one-dimensional. Mm-hmm. I think you made a really good point about the characters, actually, where you were like, you didn't really get to know any of the characters. They were kind of flat.
They were all entirely, well, as you said, one-dimensional. Mm-hmm. Joanna, for example, why was she a TV presenter now? Like, why did taking her away as a photographer, making her a TV presenter, and not only that, but like, an extreme good phrase, castrating just this ridiculous, Manhattan, ruthless and New York City career woman. I did not only wears black. I don't understand why that was necessary. I don't feel like that made her more of a woman or stronger woman than being the photographer in the original story,
She was kind of all over the place as well as a character. Like, on paper, this made a lot of sense. So she has this mental breakdown. She loses her job. Like, a shooting or whatever. Like, the stress and like, she moves to this town and she's like zoinked on like antidepressants and stuff like that. But then she starts wearing pink all of a sudden and baking 500.
Well, it's because her husband threatens to leave her.
She was trying, and I don't know. I just felt like she was really kind of uneven as well, and it was just all a bit too cartoonish for me. It is such a serious, powerful, important story that can have moments of levity and moments of humor, but for me, they took the mick out of it.
Oh, absolutely. her career as well as a TV presenter was really interesting. She had two main shows that she showed at the very start of in this conference thing that they were hosting, and one of them was a TV show that was a gendered game show where it was a man and a woman, and they just showed how women are so much better than men. It was just such a weird.
Oh, balance of power.
Yeah, I didn't really get what they were like. Was it rah-rah women, or was it almost felt anti-rah-rah women to me? You know what I mean? It was like a caricature of it. I didn't understand the purpose of that.
Yeah, I feel like this movie kind of like had a weird message as well. I don't think it quite knew what it was saying, and I don't think the people that wrote and directed this movie took the feminist slant that far. They kind of, it was a caricature. It's what your racist uncle thinks feminists are, is these like, always wears black, shouts at everyone, you know, castrating Manhattan career witches, or Bobby, who's, you know, messy and, you know, overweight and wears t-shirts and talks about feminist literature all the time. Like, I
actually really liked her, weirdly enough. I thought she was great.
Yeah, but Bette Midler, is it Bette Midler?
The actress?
I think it was Bette Midler. No. She was excellent, but she's excellent in everything she does. I think it is Bette Midler.
I really don't know, but I don't know if it's just the actress, but the actual writing of the character was excellent as well.
Name? I forget what her name is, but
well, the funny thing is, you say it's your racist uncle's opinion of what a feminist should be. It's also kind of mine, because she said a lot of good stuff.
Yeah. Okay. This has been my favorite iteration of film Bobby.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
She was exactly.
That was true to the book.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that was true to the book.
Funny. She was the best part of the movie, I would say. Also, I have to say, like, the way that they kind of handled the Stepford wives themselves, I think was a lot better. It was more kind of like this plastic, very 1950s, more kind of what I was thinking a Stepford wife would look like. The aesthetics of the film was kind of fitting more into what I was thinking.
Okay, I'll give you the aesthetics. That's fine. I didn't feel that how they portrayed the Stepford wives was generally accurate in terms of they were just robots from the get-go, and it was just basically stated that the robots immediately started glitching out, and it was obvious that they were robots.
Remote control.
The remote control. Like, they just gave away the main plot point straight away, which was really really dumb, because, you know, 30 years difference in filming, that's enough time for a new generation to see this and not know what the story was.
This is what a lot of people think, actually, when they hear the term Stepford wife.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. So they've ruined it in many senses.
Yeah, they have kind of got a lot to answer for. I honestly was going to go back into this film and be like, oh, of course, come on, 15-year-old Lexi knows her stuff.
Yeah,
like, she loved this film. So
nostalgia is a bit of a tricksome creature. Yeah. Again, there's a few things that the movie just changed for no reason, as well as her being a photographer to being a TV presenter sort of thing. Is that she was now? It was her idea to move to Stepford. What a strange thing to add.
I don't think it was.
I wrote it down. Yeah, I wrote it down during it. It was Joanna's idea to move, and in fact, that's what the husband says to him during an argument later on. He says, "But it was your idea to move here." It was her idea.
Her idea to get away. I don't think she chose Stepford. I think he chose Stepford.
Fine,
yeah.
But like, still, it was her idea to move.
He brought it up to her in the hospital, I think it was. Yeah.
Okay, but still, it was her idea to move, and that's mad.
She agreed with it. Yeah.
Okay, it's still mad, and it's still a weird change, because that's not how it was done in the original, and that irritated me as well, because again, it takes away the message of one of the main key. Yeah, right. It's pretty important. Yeah.
Well, if I could talk about one thing I did enjoy, though, is Glenn Close. Like, she was the arbitrator, the mastermind, of Stepford. I thought I kind of like that switch and this, you know, but once again, it kind of misses the point. Like, that's not feminism. No. I like that the villain could be a female. We were all thinking that it was Christopher Walken, but, you know, it actually was Glenn Close who's pulling the strings, and she was this deranged mad scientist. And I kind of love that. It was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun, but if you kind of look at it into too much depth, it just crumbles.
Yeah, I mean, I think the subversion of expectations is important in gender identity and modern sexuality and such. Yeah, absolutely.
You're doing a remake as well.
Yeah, I think that's important, and I think if you had to change the story, that's a good way of going about it. But she was so majorly flawed that it gave a bad impression of women in general, which I didn't really like in terms of what the women
I disagree with that.
You think that she gave a good impression of what women are? That they want to be housewives all the time, and think not only that, they literally think that all women should be housewives?
I think she was a juxtaposition all in of herself. I think the whole thing was that she was kind of ridiculous in the fact that she built this whole world where she was subservient in it, but she was the mastermind. Like, that is a really fun concept for me to kind of play with mentally. I really kind of enjoyed that. Her delusion was so grand that she didn't realize that she was building. She wanted to be in the cage. She wanted the cage.
Sure, that's all interesting if it wasn't Stepford Wives. I just don't think it was appropriate for this. The robot dog. Why?
Oh.
There was this really bad caricature robot dog CGI for no reason, and all it did was just provide.
They even made him into a little like he was a stolen terrier or something. I don't know. Remember?
And they were yeah.
She was looking online, and it was like, oh, like the winning terrier. Like,
there was no reason for that.
Yeah.
Like, plus, they can turn all these women into robots, no problem, but they can't make the dog look like a dog. What? Why? They just wanted to have some sort of CGI. They just wanted to show off.
I guess. I don't know. Like, I don't think that a lot of thought was put into this film, to be honest.
No.
It was supposed to be, if they'd taken any other concept, but just because this is such an important concept, and it is this kind of a very stark example of why we need, equal rights and how women have been treated in the past. And you can't turn that into a funhouse ride, for me personally. If you enjoyed this film yourself, like, obviously good on you, but you want to tell me in the comments why.
Well, I think it says a lot that you enjoy this as a teenager and not now. I think it's because it is, like you said, very on the head. In fact, one of the notes that I wrote down was there's so much monologuing to explain the plot throughout. They can't seem to actually progress the plot through standard mechanisms such as, general discussion or, actual events occurring. Instead, they need a character to stand up and say, this is currently what is happening and what is ongoing. And that was really, really bad. That's a real telltale sign of a bad film. And this was throughout. And I think the reason that your teenage self enjoyed that more was probably because it told you exactly what the points were. And that's good for a teenager or younger. But an adult, we will look at that. It's like watching a kids show almost now, isn't it? And you're like, oh, right.
Can I also say something that might be a little bit... I don't like that they cut out the black family that moved.
They didn't cut them out. They moved them to the end for no reason.
What do you mean?
Didn't they?
The original film, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
But that was also in the book. It was at the end that she came to town, and she was kind of the beginning of this new cycle.
Okay.
And they're going on how liberal they are and how welcoming, and that's one good thing for Stepford. But this is like the whitest film I think I've seen.
Super white.
So white, like Connecticut white. Well, it makes sense, but
yeah, it makes sense if it was stated as such, and you can still do that with having people of color in the film and have that as part of the plot.
It was an important part of the plot. It wasn't a huge part, but it was still important in the book.
Yes.
Where I just don't understand why they cut that out in the later on version.
Yeah, it should really be the opposite, right?
Why is the 1970s version more inclusive than the 2000 and whatever version? I don't know.
Yeah, that was bad.
I mean, I like that they included Roger, the gay character, but we did have a little bit of a dust up about that, how you felt that he was a caricature. And then, I said that all the characters were caricatures, but also some people express their sexuality that way, and da-da-da-da.
Probably if you only have one single representation of, what?
There wasn't one single representation. His partner as well.
Okay, it's one couple. One couple is the representation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? That his partner had almost no screen time.
Yeah.
Because God forbid that the gay guy in a film actually have screen time and is seen as like a, person who doesn't entirely define their identity by the fact that they're gay.
Yeah.
And I think it's absolutely great that they had gay characters in the film at all. That is good, right? I can't bash them for that. That's fantastic. I just wish that, you know, the guy had more to him than literally the standard defining early 2000s films, there's a gay guy here, tropes.
I mean, to be fair, like there's probably a longer discussion about how, you know, that was the kind of beginning of acceptance of showing these characters, and it's been an evolution ever since, and we really have come very far from that. But also, everybody was one-dimensional, like except for maybe Bobby, but every single one, oh my god, like they just were not real people, and there was no horror, there was no apprehension.
No, one of the things that I really disliked, and I actually called sacrilege in my notes, so at the end of the film, the guys are the ones who are shopping around because they get enslaved by the women, right? That's
married, yeah,
and that's like because that's sort of like the big turning point. And I didn't mind that in general. I thought that was quite an interesting way of doing it, I guess. It wasn't a terrible ending. But what I really disliked was the fact that all these women who are fighting for their freedom in this, you know, imaginary world, in this very specific sense where it's kind of drawn to a head, they just turn around and do the exact same to the men. Is that, instead of saying that if the situation is reversed, women would be doing the exact same thing? I don't think that's a good point to make. I don't think that's a good story point. No. I think that's a horrible, disgusting, anti-feminist point of the film. It really grated on me.
It's that kind of boomer humor thing, though. like, sorry, I don't want to, you know, like...
You're right.
But it's that kind of like thing where it's like, oh, it's cute to joke about how much you hate your husband or wife, or, you know, I'm like, just get bloody divorced.
Yeah.
My lord, no one tells you that you need to stay in this marriage. And it's that kind of, it's, you know, the animosity that, you know, like, oh, we've been together for 25 years and, you know, it's not cute. If you hate your husband, even if you've been together for 25 years, it's okay to leave.
Yeah,
it's not funny. You should put it on a little plaque and put it in your kitchen, you know, about how crappy your husband is. Just divorce him.
Yeah.
Become better people.
Yeah. And
live your life.
This is a good example. This film is exactly a good example of that old trope that is horrible, needs to die.
I didn't realize how much I hated that.
It perpetuates it, right?
I hate it. I hate that. I hate the reverse sexism as well. The whole like, oh, we can sexually harass men because they've been doing it to us. Like, I just don't. I don't like it.
It's not comfortable at all.
It's not comfortable. It's not comfortable to be like, oh, you know, it's that's not what equal rights is.
Yeah, and I don't think any sane person who's actually fighting for equal rights believes that. So you're making a caricature of nothing but yourself.
There's so many fridge magnets, and you know, like stuff about like hating your husband, or
it's a common
how
thing.
Annoying your wife is, and I'll go fishing so she, you know.
So she kind of
Oh, just get divorced, please.
My favorite thing about this entire film was this quote: "When you decided to become men, we decided to become gods." That wasn't when the women are.
You were busy trying to become men, we became gods.
It was very sexist and very on point for what the men's society is about.
Yeah.
And I quite enjoyed that. I thought that was a really actually, I don't know if it's from the original book or what. I hope so. Because I don't want to give this film any credit, but for that, I really enjoyed that quote.
Brief moments of brilliance. Like I really liked Bobby's transformation.
Yes, that was good.
That was startling, where she just appears serenely,
like
at the end of this tidy hallway, and you'd already seen what her house looked like before. They should have condemned that house, by the way.
Yeah, that was disgusting.
Lord.
Yeah, that wasn't. I like that though.
Creative chaos. That was not creative chaos. That was
just bad. But I like the fact that it made her a rounded and real character.
Yeah,
you know, that's more realistic.
Even
to be.
If it was cartoony and heightened.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't mind that so much because in the original film it was just too perfect. Like, oh, my kitchen's a mess. I was like, is it?
I just felt like she had such great lines as well. I mean, but that was a very startling transformation for me. It was much more startling in this movie than it was in the original movie. You know, you're like, because you could see the juxtaposition, this very stark difference. And I love how she's like passing out like these ridiculous lunch orders to her children, and they grew up so fast. I think I'll have 3 more, and then like keeps trying to offer her coffee, and that scene, like that was a good scene.
Everything with Bobby was right. Bobby was good.
I don't know. I think that scene in the kitchen with Nicole and I think it's Bette Midler, Nicole and Bobby, you know, where Nicole Kidman's got these like tears in her eyes, and you know, and it was a really effective scene. I wish they kept that momentum for the rest of the film.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what would you rate it?
I don't know. What do you? You go first, and then I'll go.
Okay, I would say 5 stars is something that I want to immediately rewatch. It is so good that I could rewatch it repeatedly. Few things get that from me. Like Lord of the Rings gets that, right?
It's a Wonderful Life. We've decided
that's a 5 stars.
every Christmas.
4 stars is I really enjoyed, and I'll maybe rewatch in a year, right? 3 stars is if I watch this again in 10 to 15 years, that would be okay. I wouldn't mind. 2 stars is I don't want to watch this again.
You finished it. You finished the movie.
Yeah, well, okay, yeah, sure. 2 stars I didn't enjoy and will not watch this again, and I will audibly complain if somebody tries to put it on. And 1 star is I either didn't finish it or I watched all the way through because I had to and hated the experience, and will like stop people in the street and be like, do not watch this film. Right? So I'd give this a 1 star. I don't think you should watch this film. I don't think it's worth watching. I think it is sacrilege, and it is such an important piece of literature, and the original film as well. Like I said, it wasn't as good as the book, but it did a good job of making it putting it on the silver screen. Is it silver screen? Golden screen?
Silver screen. You got it.
I thought silver screen was the TV.
No, that's the big movie theater.
Oh, okay.
It's grey until the projector goes.
Oh, that makes sense. They did a good job of movifying it.
Very Hollywood.
In the original film, but this was an unnecessary caricature that watered down all the major elements. It made it a cartoon. It was a cash grab, and the writers really didn't understand the concepts that they were, or the themes they were covering, and they didn't understand what an important thing that they were holding onto, and then tainted.
For me, I gave it 2 stars, partly because of nostalgia. This is a bad movie. This is not a good film. Like, if it comes on, I'm not going to be like, I mean, I would be like, maybe a 3 star. No, 2 star, because, you know, it is sacrilege. But I'm trying to think of the positives. Glenn Close was absolutely excellent. Bobby was excellent. Nicole Kidman had moments of brilliance in it. I really do enjoy her. I think I have a little bit of a crush on her, to be honest. Also, the costumes were really, really good. I like subtle things, like Stepford, rather than just the men's association in Joanna's house and Bobby's house. It felt like a little bit more like a world. I liked how in the men's association there's all the midlife crisis cars parked out, you know, and the motorcycles and things like that. But in front of the book club, you know, the book club is all like gray SUVs. You know,
how else are they going to get the shopping and
to ferry the children around in the groceries? But they were
that was good.
Yeah, like there were moments. There were teeny tiny diamond chips. Teeny tiny diamond chips, like they've been chipped off the original and kind of landed a little bit on this, but mostly it's just a turd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have been watching, listening, and enjoying Where Am I Prose At here on the Versus the World video YouTube. Thank you so much for tuning into this special movie edition of our show. Okay, I'll continue. Next week we will be doing...
I'm sorry, dear. You wanted me to continue.
Well, if it's going to be more like the film version, dozy do, dozy do, dozy do, dozy do.
I like your khakis. I see now why they call it the Banana Republic. Oh, just the way she says khakis, it reverberates in my head.
I started to turn a little red there, and that's my wife. Next week we are going to be doing another movie show. What are we doing next?
We are doing Murder on the Orient Express. We're doing the original. I mean, there's been a lot of adaptations of this. We're going to be doing the new Johnny Depp one, and we're going to be doing, I think, one of the original made-for-TV ones. I think that's the one we're doing. Sure. Details will be on our Goodreads, on our subreddit. You know, if you want to find a little bit more about what we're doing, just go there. And thank you so much for choosing to spend some of your time with us today. We really appreciate it.
We do. Yeah. We'll be back next week with another episode. So thank you so much for tuning in. You can find everything to do with Where My Prose At. Where? Oh, you laugh, but you don't even know our web address. How can they find it if you don't even know where it is?
Do-si-do, do-si-do. Why are you looking at me? Linktree.tr.
Oh my god. It's linktr.ee/where my prose at.
It's not like we do this every week.
I know, right? And check out there for our... What can they find there?
Okay. Why are you asking me the hard questions?
This is what you need to memorize
Brain
it.
no work good.
What if I'm not here one week and you want to do a show?
That would never happen. Sorry, guys. I probably wouldn't do it solo. Maybe I would, actually. Yeah, maybe I would. Yeah, me and the Doges.
I think you could do it. Yeah.
You will find on our Linktree our subreddit, our Goodreads, our Twitch, our Twitter, and our YouTube, and our Instagram.
Yay!
Yay, I did it.
You only have to clean the kitchen twice tonight for that. That's not really how...
dinner.
Yeah.
You need a mess too.
Shut up. Thank you so much for listening in. Bye.
And parting words. I like your khakis. I just like to say it.